Hi guys, it's Ala here, and today I will show you how to make your city look realistic and beautiful, but without sacrificing your performance. If you are anything like me, you could find yourself in a cycle of my game looks ugly, how come it does not look like others people work, let's find a YouTube tutorial, let's ignore all the tips and just download tons of mods and subscribe to them all at once, of course, and ignore any additional settings, maxed out everything and wonder why game crashes, runs at 10 FPS or still looks ugly. I've played the game for like 6 years to finally figure it all out, but I'm still not a pro. If you like my results that you can see here on screen and perhaps have similar PC specs, these are mine of my what I would consider average gaming PC, 4 years old, nothing crazy, then this guide can be of value to you. I will mention few vanilla-friendly options at the beginning too, but the guide is more focused on mods. So if you want a City Skylines 1 video that shows you step by step how you can enhance your visuals, is 2024 friendly and oriented towards beginners or average PC user, then this video is for you. Just two disclaimers, any modding activity can mess up your performance, so I recommend you to check out this performance and tuning guide I've mentioned several times on my channel. And if you don't feel like to at least download just FPS booster mod that for me personally increased FPS rate by like 20 or 30 frames even, I've showed this in my other mods related video. Also, all links will be in the description, so check it out at the end of the video. There will be tons of information here. Another disclaimer is that since the game is over 9 years old, some mods were not updated in a while or are no longer supported, but they still work, at least for me, and I did not suffer from any compatibility issues whatsoever. And last thing, I'm not a pro. So if you too find yourself confused about triangles and polygons and anti-aliasing, don't worry, we will get as much in deep as it's needed. I prefer to just show you results and what I do on the screen instead of pretending I know every damn setting. This definitely is going to be more chit-chatty, more follow along, not heavily edited tutorial. I don't believe that more options equal better graphics, so let's start with the simplest mods that can yield big results with just few clicks, and then move to a little more complicated ones, so you can go as far as you want. This is my content manager, and I unsubscribed from most of the mods apart from few camera and dependency mods, and of course I left graphic mods. This is the list of mods that I'll be enabling one by one, so you can exactly see what each mod adds to the game as we progress. And of course all links and complete workshop collection will be in the description. So let's start the new game. As you can see, for now I don't choose any custom themes, I just load it with default tropical theme from vanilla game. Once we are in game, I will use 81 tiles mod to unlock whole map, so it will be easier for us to see everything. And now time to start playing with basic graphical settings. You might have noticed that the game actually doesn't look that bad. It's because the game automatically loaded the custom color correction override that I downloaded for later, so it's time to change it now. Here we can see basic graphic settings. I turn off VSync, disable depth of field, lower both depth of field and film grain amount bars. In quality tab I max everything, and I just leave anti-aliasing disabled, as we will turn it on later using mods and, make it better. And this is really how vanilla game looks like after changing the graphic settings. It looks really yellowy orange. Be mindful that this is tropical biome, but still with other biomes it does not look that much better. By maxing out most of graphical settings, we will see nice textures, especially up close, but be mindful about your PC and performance. Now I will load the game again to show you the difference it makes to use custom map theme. This one is Owl's Los Angeles custom theme dedicated to the map I'm going to use. more on custom maps, how to set them up correctly, what map theme or color corrections and other terms exactly mean, check out my other video. And once I loaded the game, here is a cinematic comparison of what simply map theme can do. We can right away notice the more detailed textures on the mountainside, the ground looking more crisp. The water has different color, it will again vary depending on the biome and the theme. I'm preparing this map for my next building series, which will be more South Africa, Oceania inspired, so I'm going for the slight tropical vibe. So ground and textures is not everything, so I've zoned really quickly a tiny village so we can see how the graphical settings will affect the buildings. This huge train station was present on the map right away, and it's a good example because it's very detailed, has tons of small elements, so will definitely help us to spot some changes. Of course, let's supply it with basic utilities, speed up a little, and there you have it. Time for the first actual mods, so dynamic resolution. So when you check out the mod option, you will have slider minimum option, but this itself does not do anything. You can set it to max if you want, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, once we are in game, we will use left control plus R shortcut to open the tab, the actual tab. And you can see we have internal resolution values, which is a bar. We can slide, unlock slider option, which allows you to have different values apart from fixed ones, like for example, apart from 100 or 125, you can choose 180, for example. Lower VRAM option I did not use, probably good if you have not a great PC. And bonus points, we can right away see the FPS counter. So I play around with it for a bit, as you can see. For me personally, values above 200 really slow down the game. I found a sweet spot at around 175. I've noticed that maxing values to above 300% helps with flickering, which I would probably use when recording cinematic videos. But during normal gameplay, unless you aren't crazy with zooming in and out, it should be fine. So values between 125 or 200 should be okay. Be mindful that if you have developed city, you might want to lower those settings a bit. This is an empty map. Okay, so before we get to the next mod, I want to show you the color correction tab. So these can be subscribed to in Steam Workshop. My favorite packs of LUTs include Owl Cinematic Pack and more Relight. Beautiful, they change the color scheme of the map. So you can load the LUT/color correction straight from graphic settings, in-game options, or use mods like for example Ultimate Eyecandy, which we are going to cover next. I've seen comments that it does not work for some people anymore. In case that's the issue you face too, try Plate mod instead that has similar functions. So in left bottom corner you will have a little weather icon and it opens this panel with few options. What I use first is the ability to choose LUT. I will scroll around to choose the one that matches my vibe and the one I like the most. We can, of course, change it anytime. I will probably do this once I will play with other settings I'm going to show you. Below we have three options. Use LUT, which of course we want. Tone mapping is personal choice. I like to turn it on too. Same with bloom. Don't know what exactly they do, but they make the game look better, so yeah. We can save our settings and create different profiles for different cities. There's also a weather tab which helps to navigate rain and snow in the game, which we know can be annoying, as well as fog intensity. In ambient tab, we can customize latitude and longitude of the sun. I'm not sure whether it remains fixed or will it change throughout the day. We can also change the time of the day or even stop the day-night cycle altogether, which can also be a nice way to, find the perfect hour, the perfect time and stop it. We can also modify the global light intensity or just a general brightness of the map. But the bar is not too intuitive, I would say, so be careful when playing with it, because even if you change it just a little bit, it can look off. And this is how the game looks after playing around with Ultimate Eyecandy. So time for Daylight Classic. When you open the options, you will see basic features and advanced features, just buttons, not bars. Once in-game, you can see my Ultimate Eyecandy settings are saved. In-game looks exactly as we left it. So let's go to options. So this mod is intended to mostly help with ugly orange tint of the vanilla sun. Hence we see options like sun position, intensity, etc. I usually just enable all the settings. This is how the game looks like with all basic features enabled. Like you see, it definitely became more cold to diminish the yellowish orange tint. In terms of quality of textures, it did not change much, but once you click advanced settings, mostly they are described as mostly related to fog. I think it really makes the game look much more crisp. I feel like it just modifies how the light is reflecting on objects and give it three-dimensional feeling. But now it's a little bit too cold for my liking, so I will modify the LUT again. And if I were to record this tutorial again, I would actually start with Daylight Classic and then play with Ultimate Eyecandy, but you can change everything in-game, so it's not that big of a deal, so sorry for that. Found the perfect settings, and I can tell the game looks so much better already. So now when we achieve this general look of map, it's time to experiment with details using ultimate level of detail. When we open the options, you can see few tabs with load distance of trees, props, network, etc. Basically any render category of objects in-game, and the values in meters. So in vanilla, objects are rendered at a certain distance. The simplest way to describe it is that when you zoom out the map, the building textures will look a little bit blurry, especially the trees that are very far away. They will not look so crisp, they won't be very detailed. So when you increase the distance, it means that even if you zoom out very far, your game still will look very detailed because it will render it. I compared the game with game default options and my options. I usually go like 3 or 4 values from game default for gameplay, and of course a little bit more for cinematics. This, when you press the Ctrl and period or dot, you will have the screenshot mode, and it will, I think, max out all the settings, and it will look beautiful on screenshot, but it will be unplayable. So I use trees as an example of what happens when you max out LOT too much. Might mean that this map has tons of trees, and I think they are not vanilla ones. Way more computational power put to render all of them, but still you see how performance drops massively. I highly recommend you to find your sweet spot. I like really crisp greenery, and I don't care that much about network or vehicles. For you, the buildings, for example, can be priority, so experiment with it. ACME. This mod I'm going to just describe really quickly because I didn't really experiment with it settings that much. I only focus on Other tab where you can find shadows options. There is a maximum distance multiplier and sharpness distance trade-off. This is the tip I found in others creators' video. I don't remember the exact creator's name or what the title of video it was. I think it was somewhere on the YouTube or Reddit, but he recommended that you can play around with this bar to limit the annoying flickering effect that sometimes is visible. You could notice it on this train station in the middle. I did change it, and when I look at this very detailed train station, I see a little difference. We have few more mods to go, so definitely it will become better once we go further. But if you tried everything with flickering like I did, it's so annoying for me, and haven't heard of this, I recommend it. In my bigger cities, I've seen the bigger difference. So let's go back to So let's go back to the details. This is a mod similar to ULOT. It's called Adaptive Probe Visibility Distance. It differs a little bit because it prevents large probes like planes, for example, from randomly disappearing when zooming out. It's an empty map, but in bigger cities you could notice that you zoom out and now some objects are disappearing. So the way it works, as I read on Steam, it adjusts the lot distance for objects based on their size. So ULOT won't take properties of single object, its size, etc. into calculation, only distance of objects, but this mod will. This mod still works perfectly. It basically scales probes, trees, render distance based on their relative size, whereas ULOT changes the render distance for all objects, which is not very efficient. And these are my settings. This is a comparison between default settings and mine settings. Mine meaning I think I read some other creators or Reddit posts about it and I used the recommended values. And as you can see, it also gets rid of that circle effect that you could see previously when I was moving the mouse around. The trees in a circle around mouse looked a bit off, like they render at different speed, and now it vanished. ULOT is still in the backgrounds, and so the difference is small on the video, but when you play for a while during the gameplay, you will notice the difference, especially in the developed cities. So, last but not least, I decided to leave the more complicated mods for the end. They are pretty powerful with tons of different options, and they really help fix small details and act in a very specific manner. So let's start with the simpler one, which is Relight. And so important info. When you read the Steam workshop description, you will see that we have to change the ultimate Eyecandy settings and adjust the strength of shadows using the Shadow Strength Adjuster mod. I didn't show you what it does separately because it's just a mod with one simple slider, so be sure to download it and set it to the max. Also change the ultimate Eyecandy settings like I just did. Relight actually has a newer version called Lumina, which has more options and combines some features from Dynamic Resolution or Daylight Classic, I think. However, I got used to Relight's interface and I wanted to show you simpler mods that you can use with just a few buttons. Those big graphic mods can be overwhelming and discouraging to use. That was my experience too, so I stick with Relight. When we entered the game, you could see that it looked totally different. I've already saved my projects with different graphic settings that I used in my past cities, and they work with the settings and lighting that I had on the saves. For the purpose of this video, I decided to reset all the settings so you can see how it looks without it, but I will switch to my save settings so I can work on that because it took me a while to figure it out and I don't want to start from very beginning and make mistakes. You can adjust the brightness, gamma, contrast of the map. It mostly affects just the colors, so it doesn't affect textures and stuff. We have some options regarding lighting, like temperature, tint, and so on. I play around with some of these, but nothing really happened when it comes to sky textures. So I'm not sure if other mods override these settings or if it's something to do with the map theme. The creator of my map theme might have uploaded custom sky textures, and that might be the case here, because nothing really happened with the night sky either. I think I found my perfect options that didn't differ much from my previous settings. And I wanted to go straight into Render It mode as it complements Relight. This one is even more complicated than Relight, and I just followed the guide available on Steam or other creators' instructions. I don't feel competent enough to describe it to you, so I'm just going to show you my settings, which you can copy if you want. However, I highly recommend following the actual guide. To be honest, Render It can probably replace a few or even majority of the mods I've shown you today, but since this video is aimed more towards beginners and people who have average PC and beginners like myself, I will stop here. We have the Profile tab where you can save your profile. I have some saved profiles from previous gameplays. The main tab is Options, where we have some settings regarding lighting that affect the exposure and look of the sky. Oh, and I can see that these actually do something in contrary to Relight. Some types are disabled if you use other graphical mods. We have the Texture tab, which is very interesting and can definitely make the objects in your game more crisp. I would advise you to go through it because I think the default is 1 or 2 and you can go up to 8 for filtering level, which improves the look overall, the sharpness and crispness. At the very beginning, I've told you to disable anti-aliasing because we want to override the vanilla anti-aliasing with RenderIt. Here you can choose your technique of choice. I think FXAA looks the best. We also have additional settings with enhanced effects. I play around with the bloom options because I notice it reduces the flickering effect, especially when I click the anti-flicker button. You can see on this railway station that it looks way better and doesn't glitch as much, but on the other hand, the trees look a little bit darker, especially on close-up. I'm not sure whether I like it during gameplay, but I will keep this option in mind for when I need it. And that's all. I didn't give this mod a lot of time. It has a lot of options, so check out the guide if you want to play with it. I bet you will get even more fantastic results. It might look like a small mod, but each tab hides so many more settings that I'm sometimes afraid to even click on them so I don't mess anything up. Yeah, these are my final results, some cinematic shots of what we've accomplished. It's very subjective, of course, just what I like, what I wanted from this map, and I'm not aiming for, crazy realism, because first, I don't have Monster PC, and B, it's a game after all, and to be honest, I really like the City Skylines one, a bit cartoony look. And yeah, there are a few more ways to make your city look more beautiful visually. I've mentioned some of the mods like Bob, Prop and Tree Replacer, or Hide It in my other mod related videos, so you can check it out. And I highly recommend to check out the description too. This is part 1 of how to start a modded City Skylines 1 city in 2024, so be sure to subscribe so you won't miss part 2, where I will show you every single mod I use with the exact settings when I start a new gameplay. If you want to support me, please comment your thoughts, let me know what results you had with this tutorial, or if there are any other ways or mods you use to improve visuals. Maybe I can help if something doesn't look right. Enjoy the rest of your day or night, and bye!